So
Good evening, everyone.
hold on a second, Shadi.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm happy to welcome Shadi Azan to present Building Your PLN OTF Connect session. It's great to have so many people from all over Ontario to join us on a May evening in such a busy time of the year. So I'm just going to turn it over to Shadi, and she's going to introduce herself. So welcome, Shadi, and if you have any questions or comments, please type them in the chat, and I'll be monitoring that and communicating with Shadi as we go. So go ahead, Shadi.
Thank you, Mally. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us this evening. As mentioned, my name is Shadi. I am a digital literacy resource teacher for York Region District School Board. I was a classroom teacher for a number of years, about 8 years before I came into my role, and I've been doing my role for the past 3 years. My role entails supporting teachers in the effective integration of digital tools in the classroom. So I co-plan and co-teach with teachers. I work with school administrators and our superintendents and so on. So that's what I do on regular basis. So I'm in my 11th year, I believe. Yes, I've lost count. 11th year of teaching this year. So I would love to get to know you guys, and I'm going to try to use the whiteboard. Okay, and I want you guys to, okay, doesn't seem to be wanting to, oh, never mind. Okay, that's fine. So what I'm going to have you do in the chat box is just to indicate to me what grade you teach and what board you're from. So I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to do that. Thank you, Amanda. Oh, we have a wire DSB teacher. Cool. Okay. Okay. Thank you, everyone. I know others are probably going to be joining us later on as well. So we have mostly elementary. We have one person that is 9 to 12, so secondary. So that's pretty good. I'm going to try everything I talk about. Really, it's for you. It's not so much for the classroom, but there will be points where I can talk about how you can use some of the online tools with your classroom as well, if that's something you're interested in. Okay? So building your PLN. Show of hands. How many of you, just using the poll, indicate yes if you know what PLN stands for, Personal Learning Network, and X if you have no idea what it stands for. Okay. Okay, so it's quite high. Oh, now it's, okay. Good. Personal Learning Network, for those of you that are not familiar, it's just think of it as your, the group of people that you work with, so you share content with and they share things with you, you interact with them, but they're all virtual, so they're all online. They're not face-to-face. Kind of like the way that you interact with your colleagues in the school, but now it allows you to go beyond your school to a wider web area globally, and people could be all over the world, and you're connecting with them and you're sharing with them. One of the questions I often get in my role is a lot of teachers with new initiatives that are coming out are always asking, well, how do I find out more? I want to be able to dig deeper. I want to be able to try this new strategy that I learned, and I always encourage them to connect with other like-minded educators online to get some of that work and support that they may need. I started really working on developing my personal learning network a number of years ago, about 5 years ago, when I first learned about the flipped learning model. And I was wondering what it was all about, and I went to my principal, asked them, and he tried to find out if there was anyone in the board that he could put me in contact with, and unfortunately there wasn't anyone. So we started doing research together. He was very supportive and very much wanted to help me. So we started doing research together, and around the same time, I've been very active on Twitter, and I was wondering, I put the question out to Twitter, and then within just a few hours, I had over 10 teachers across the world messaging me and saying, providing me with resources and information about what flipped learning model was all about, a number of them offering to co-plan with me and even co-teach. It was so exciting. So my great partners ended up being a teacher in California, one in Singapore, and one in Thailand. It was the most incredible teaching year of my career. We had a blast, and we're still very, very good friends. So that's really my experience with Personal Learning Network, and we're going to be talking about how you can go about doing that as well. We're not going to, unfortunately, be able to watch this quick little video on what is Personal Learning Network. It really covers what I discussed tonight. It's a quick little video. It's less than 2 minutes, but I have you actually have access to this whole presentation. Mali, can you share that with people on chat? You will all have access to it, so you can go, you'll be able to access this video, watch it if you want to, and share it with your colleagues. Why Personal Learning Network? Well, oftentimes you don't get all the support that you need in your school. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but with me, oftentimes, the schools that I was in before I came into my role, I tended to be the only grade teacher. I was always in very small schools. Either I was the only grade 6 teacher or I was the only grade 7 teacher. I mean, I've taught from grade 1 to grade 8, and I don't know why, but I was always like the only one teaching that particular grade. So I always found it challenging trying to find others that I could co-plan with. And this was my way of finding out what else I could do, how else I could, make my teaching more innovative and exciting and different. So really it's good, it's excellent for co-planning and co-teaching, really good for building your knowledge. I mean, as educators, we are in the business of teaching and learning. So what great place than to go online and learn from other people or connect with other like-minded people. It's really wonderful in that you're constantly learning new things that you can apply in your classroom right away. It's excellent for problem solving, so if there's something new that you're trying, like my example of that flipped learning model, you don't know what it is, you don't know how to get started, it's always great to go online and post your question, and you'll always have people that are going to respond to you. It truly is 24/7, so that's what I really love about it. It's really self-directed learning, learning on your own time, which is a really important aspect of our modern learning environment. That learning doesn't only happen at a set time. Learning happens all the time, anywhere, anytime, using any device. I love those three terms, and I use them often. Again, I talked a lot about meeting like-minded individuals. That's huge. And it's really informal learning, and it's learning from the comfort of your home like you guys are doing right now. I love, sitting on my couch in my PJs and doing this with you guys, and I'm sure it's also really cool for you guys as well. So it's a really, really great way of learning, and this is where I see learning even for our students, hopefully moving towards in the future as well. Any questions so far? Okay, if you have any questions, either put your hand up or post them in the chat part of the screen, and then I'll be able to answer it. And the link to the presentation is posted, so feel free to click on the link and you can follow along the presentation. Make your own copy, make notes on it, or whatever you want to do. How do you go about building your personal learning network? Well, it really depends on what tool you are using. It is personal learning network for a reason. Some tools work for some don't work for others. So you have to find the right tool for you. So a couple of the ones that I know that you can use, for example, Edmodo is one. A lot of teachers use this in the classroom. I used to use Edmodo as well until I learned about all the privacy issues concerning Edmodo. But I think as long as you send home parent permission, then you have really nothing to worry about. So Edmodo is really great in connecting teachers across the world with each other. Pinterest, when I was an art teacher, before I came into my role, this was my go-to place. I found the most incredible art projects that I could do with my kids that didn't cost anything, because money was a huge issue at the last school that I was at before I came into my role. I love Pinterest. And also, like, the boards that you follow on Pinterest allows you to connect with others, and oftentimes, if you're following something to do with education, there are other educators on the other end that you connect with. I know that Facebook has a really incredible teacher group. I don't know, I don't use it, but I've heard from my colleagues that it has a really, really amazing teacher group that you can join. And I've heard that this is actually one of the oldest and most active personal learning network groups that is actually out there. Twitter, this is my go-to. I love, love, love Twitter. I can't say enough about Twitter. Is also really great for building a personal network. One of my colleagues was telling me that you can actually connect with other educators through Class Dojo. I don't know how many of you use it. Again, there's that whole privacy thing with Class Dojo as well. Make sure you don't have full names of kids, and if you do, make sure you send home parent permission and get your administrator approval. But you can apparently connect to other educators. So I'm not 100%, never used it, but that's what one of my colleagues was telling me, so I decided to put it here for you guys. Google Plus community depends on whether or not you are a Google Apps for Education board. York Region is, so we have access to many Google Plus communities, very, very active Google Plus communities. Even if you're not a Google Apps for Education board, if you have a Gmail account, you can just search for anything to do with education in the Google Plus community, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that tonight. You'll find many groups that you can join. Some of them are very useful. Some of them, after a while, you feel like, you know, this group isn't really for me, so then you can leave that particular group. Blogs are a really great way of developing your personal learning network, developing, building, and growing. Blogs, oftentimes, there's so many educational blogs. You can just post a comment or create your own blog, and as you keep blogging, you'll have people that follow you, and we're going to cover that as well this evening. So can I have you do me a favor? Can I have you using the little icon that you use to place images on the map? Can you please put a little face on the tools that you've actually used in the class or for Personal Learning Network? Even if you haven't used it for Personal Learning Network, but you use it with kids, just put a little check mark on that for me, please. Oh, wow, I don't know why. Oh, okay, pretty cool. There's so many check marks. Okay, very good. Pinterest is indeed incredible, and it's very, very popular. Okay. Okay, thank you. So you guys already answered this for me, so thank you. Now tonight we are going to focus on, and there's one icon that's missing, I apologize. We are going to focus on building your personal learning network with Google+, Twitter, and blog, and also Pinterest. So we're going to cover all four for this evening. And I'm going to start with Twitter. So Twitter, as I mentioned, I've been quite active on Twitter since Twitter started, so I kind of feel somewhat of a royalty to Twitter because I've been with it for so long. I feel kind of guilty trying anything else, but it's been, for me, incredible and really has opened up a lot of great opportunities of co-teaching and co-planning and, as I said, learning from other people. So within Twitter, I have a little video for you guys, but again, we're not going to be able to watch it right now, but you can access this on your own time. It's only 60 seconds. Amazing video that just talks about what Twitter is and what Twitter's all about in 60 seconds. Feel free to share this with any of your colleagues as well. So why Twitter? Well, it's 24-hour PD, and I'm serious. There are nights that sometimes I can't sleep, tossing and turning. I go onto Twitter, and there's always tons and tons of learning that can happen. Great for PD, anytime, anywhere, again, using any device. And of course, so much learning. Oftentimes, news happens on Twitter before it actually makes it on the radio, on TV, or even in the newspaper. So I actually get my news report from Twitter as well, my traffic report, and my weather report. I find it to be much more accurate than the weather reports I hear about on the radio. It's a really great way to connect with other people. I always say that Twitter is as valuable as the people that you follow. So if you are, if you're following your friend or maybe few family members, then those are the only tweets that you're going to see. So you want to make sure, I think it's really important to know what is your goal. Why do you want to use Twitter? Is it to learn, is it to network, or is it to connect? For me, it's all three. If that is the case, then Twitter is what you use. Oftentimes people mistake Twitter for, well, you know, I've had a lot of colleagues that have said, I don't want to use Twitter because I don't want to have to tell people what I'm eating or where I'm going. But really, it depends, how are you using Twitter? Are you sharing valuable information that's going to support your followers, or are you just pretty much using it to announce to the world, you know, what you're wearing and what you're eating? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but again, you need to know what your goal is. And I always say you need to know what your personal brand is all about. You may be a food blogger, or you might be in your spare time a stylist, and that's all that you want to tweet about, and there's nothing wrong with that. Twitter does require a lot of time in the beginning because Twitter is only as valuable as how many times you tweet. But there are programs out there that you can use, which I'm actually using this evening, where you automatically set all of your tweets and then they go out automatically. So if you're on Twitter right now, or if you want to open another window and just write at Shadi Yazdan, you will see all of my tweets that are going out. And if you like to tweet at me, I will be able to respond to you after tonight's session. So that's what I really love about it. So all the key messages from this evening are already going out to, they're all going out on Twitter. So you don't need, just in the beginning you need time to build it, but after that you will get the hang of it and your tweets. You can find, there are tons of different programs out there that allow you to do auto tweet. One of them is Buffer. The other one that I like to use is Hootsuite. I'll put it into Hootsuite. I put it into the chat for Buffer. Oopsies, Buffer. So it's either one, you know, you can use, set up, and then create your auto tweet. And again, for all of these tools, I have to say, YouTube has a lot of instructional videos. I learned how to use them by watching YouTube videos. Or when I was in the classroom, I had my grade 7s. Believe it or not, they know everything, so they were the ones that were teaching me how to use most of this stuff. In terms of privacy, you really have to think about, again, going back to your goal. What is your goal for Twitter? I've had a lot of teachers that ask me, and a lot of school administrators and superintendents that are always asking me, so do I make my tweets private? Should my account be private or public? Again, I always say, well, what is your goal? If you're looking to learn and network and connect, then you want to make it public because you want people to see everything that you're tweeting. And once they do, then they can follow you. If you make it private, then people won't be able to follow you unless they request to follow you. Any questions so far? Okay. So how do you use it in the beginning? When you create your Twitter account, if you choose that that's the route you're going to go, just spend some time. I'd say the first couple of months, just, you know, you can actually do some creeping around on Twitter. You can do some lurking around just to see what other people are posting. And then you can start engaging in Twitter chats. So Twitter chats happen on particular days during particular hours, and you find out about them by just tweeting and saying, hey, how do I get the latest list of Twitter chats that are happening for education? But then what ends up happening is when you start following a lot of educators on Twitter, there's usually one or two people that tweet to everyone else saying, oh, you know, we're going to be having a live chat on this day at this time. Please join us. And they're all free. Who do you follow? Well, the best way to answer that question is I would say to start with start following one person. Look at their list of followers and see who that person is following, then follow who that person is following. That's really the best way to do it. And there's so many educational gurus that you can follow as well. Within the slides, in the resource section, I've provided you with a whole list of information on kind of like Twitter 101 that does give you some recommendations of some of the big educational gurus that you may want to follow. Okay. When you sign up on Twitter and you are tweeting and you create your account and you're lurking or you're creeping, some of the suggestions I have is, believe it or not, don't be an egg. I know it sounds kind of funny, but really, an egg is the first profile that Twitter gives you. So literally, at first when you sign up, you look like an egg. The reason why I say don't be an egg is that you want to show people that you are a real person. You don't necessarily have to have your own picture if you don't feel comfortable, but I suggest it because, again, you're building your brand. When you are just an egg and you don't have a profile summary, that is, so here's my profile summary. If you don't have a profile summary, then people don't know who you are. I have to be honest with you guys. I actually block all the eggs, and especially people with no profile summary, because those to me are usually spammers, and you will get lots and lots of spammers that are going to try to follow you that all you have to do is block them. Unfortunately, tonight we're not going to get into Twitter 101, how to block people, how to follow people, just because of the time. But I know that OTF does have a lot of webinars where it's only on Twitter, and I highly suggest checking them out. And there's some really good past webinars that you can watch as well that are recorded, just to see what are some of the best ways and suggestions of how you can set up your Twitter, okay, and how to follow, block, because those are really important information that you need to know. So the takeaway here is don't be an egg and make sure you have a profile summary. So here's my information, and I use my own real name, you know, and again, this is all part of my brand. It's part of who I am, and that's how I make sure that, you know, I also have some, and with Twitter, you always want to let people know, you know, that you're not all about work. You kind of, there's some personal to you as well. So I live in the city, love my city. If you follow me on Instagram, all my pictures are about different places I walk in Toronto, and I love yoga. So that's really who I am all about. Few other tips and tricks. As I mentioned, these two are repeat, I'm sorry. Tweet regularly. If you don't, then people oftentimes will mistake you for someone who's spamming. So if you don't tweet, let's say for a couple of days, and then suddenly you're tweeting a whole bunch of stuff, it looks like you're just, maybe it's computer generated tweets that are going out, that it's not a person behind those tweets. Again, as I mentioned, going over all of this stuff again, repeating, do try a Twitter chat, and I'll give you some hashtags to follow. Respond to people that message you. I think, again, you want to showcase to the world that, you know, you are a person. You're not just a computer. I always make a point of responding to people that mention me or they say something about me. I always tweet back and I say, hey, thanks for the mention. And then people will send you private messages maybe, and they want to connect with you and say, hey, I noticed that you're teaching grade, I don't know, 5, and I'm teaching grade 5. I love to co-teach with you. So that would be a really great way of making that connection with someone. So hashtags in Twitter are like kind of like tags, if you wanna think about it that way. It's the best way to describe hashtags. So hashtags, what they do is if you search for a hashtag, you find every topic that pertains to that hashtag. Okay, so I've included a number of hashtags that I recommend, and I'm sure that there are tons of other ones. But if you have other ones that are not on the list, please put them in the chat, and I will mention them to everyone else. I think that would be good. Some of these ones, chat is educational chat, so educational talk, educational technologies, this one. In York Region, we have our Wire DSB talk, which is also it's also a Twitter chat that happens on Tuesday evenings. I believe it's at 8 o'clock. Incredible. We have superintendents, we have principals, we've got people from all over the world involved with Wire DSB Talk. So when you write your tweet, at the end of it, you use this hashtag, Wire DSB Talk, and then it will go and it will be generated and go to that particular group. So it's a really great way of learning from other people. So every week, the topics are different. We've had discussions about the modern learning environment. We've got discussions about maker spaces, math, a whole bunch of anything you can think of, again, educational related that we talk. Modern learning hashtag has become quite popular lately as schools are moving away, as boards are moving away from using the term 21st century to modern learning environment. Okay, so you'll see a lot of tweets about this as well. This is, I have to say, by far one of my favorite hashtags, and it's been around for quite a while. This is the Ontario Social Sciences, History, and Geography hashtag. Amazing. So if I ever need a resource or if I'm looking for something, this is the hashtag that I use. I know that oftentimes our French teachers, I'm sorry to say, don't get as much love and as support as our English-speaking teachers. I really love the FSL hashtag because anything you can think of, French as a second language related, will be posted under this hashtag. So if you are teaching at a French immersion school or if you are a French teacher, then this is the best hashtag for you to follow. Wire DSB code is, I have to say, it's my baby. I really love, I created this 3 years ago for the Hour of Code, and it's taken a life of its own, and my goal is try to make people use it even when we are not during the Hour of Code. So Wire DSB Code is all about coding in the classroom, computer sciences with students. It is K-12. It's actually been picked up by some universities as well. The other day I noticed one of the universities was using the Wire DSB Code hashtag, which was quite exciting. So again, if you're new in the coding environment world and you want to see what kind of resources are available, use the Wire DSB Code hashtag if you like, or just the Hour of Code hashtag, because a lot of people have included a lot of resources using that hashtag as well. The other one I really like is the Canadian educators. If you're only looking to connect with other Canadian educators, then this is your go-to hashtag. Okay? Any questions? Okay. So now we're going into Google+. Google+, I have two Google+ profiles. I have my York Region Google+ profile, and then I have my personal Google+ profile. And I have to confess, I am really not a Google+ person. The reason being is that I cannot automatically set my messages to go out, and I really don't find the time to actually sit and send messages on Google+ just using my phone. I really like auto setting all of my stuff, because most of the time, like most educators, I always have to read before I go to bed. I guess not just educators. Most people are like that, or maybe not, I'm just generalizing. But I do a lot of reading before I go to bed, and I find a lot of really interesting articles, and I like to auto set them so that they will go out at a certain time, because oftentimes when I'm reading it, there aren't that many people online, and I want people to get the latest information, and usually they get it like the next day during I call it the rush hour of online time, and that way they can read it. But Google Plus doesn't let me do that, so I hardly use it, to be honest with you, but I'm really trying to get into it more. The best way I can describe Google Plus is that it's like Facebook for adults. That's how I describe it. To access your Google Plus community, you need to click on the waffle. This is a terminology that a grade 7 student taught me. They call this the waffle. It's really called the app launcher, but the student corrected me and said, no, miss, this is the waffle. I'm like, okay, so now I refer to it as the waffle. Oh, someone said they called it the Rubrik's Cube. That's smart. Very good. I like that. I'm going to use that. So the Rubrik's Cube, you click on it, and then once you do, this big window opens up, and when it does, you click on your Google Plus. So this is how you would go into your profile. You have to, the first time you're using it, you do have to set it up with your credentials, like your first name, last name, where you work. Again, a lot of teachers feel uncomfortable putting all that information in, but I say, if someone is following me on Google Plus and they don't have any of that information, most of the time I block them because I don't know who they are. And I like to know that I'm actually connected with like-minded individuals. Why Google Plus? Well, it depends. Again, how do you want to use it, professionally or personally? I think I use it more personally than professionally because on my personal Gmail account, I can set it automatically to go out. So again, all the information that goes on my Twitter is now pushed onto Google Plus, and they all go out together. Okay? It is 24/7 PD as well, and there are communities that you can join, and I'm going to talk more about that. In our board, in York Region District School Board, Google Plus is actually opened up to our high school students. The age restriction is 13 years of age or older, so our high school students actually have access to Google Plus community. And some of them use it as an online learning platform. Oh, I forgot to mention, you can, once you have a Google Plus community, even if you never use it, you do need it to be able to use Google Hangout, which is Google's version of Skype. And I know that in our board in York Region, only teachers have a Google Hangout account, and then I'm not sure about other boards, but there is an age restriction. I believe it's also 13 years or older to be able to use Hangout. So Google Circles, so the difference in Google, they call them Google Circles. So you can see who has you in a circle, but you don't know what circle they put you in. You can find people by putting their first name and last name, and if they have a Gmail account or a Google Plus profile, then you'll be able to find them. Or you can discover groups that you can join, and there's so many of them. Actually, a lot of them. It gets overwhelming. So with Google Plus Circles, following on Google Plus means adding people to your circle. So on Twitter, you're following people. On Google Plus, you are adding people to your circle. So so all of these circles that I have here, I named them. Nobody knows what circle they're in. So if you want to create a circle that says list of people to ignore, you can do that. No one's going to know what circle they're in. You can have a person in more than one circle. So some of these people, I actually have them in more than one circle. And the reason why you have circle is you can send messages out to particular circles. You don't have to send it to everybody. Either you can send a message to all. So let's say if you're looking to connect with someone or you found a resource that you want to share with others, then I suggest to share it with all and make it public. Because with building your personal learning network, the only way to do that is to be public. You want all of your stuff public. I know that makes some people feel uncomfortable, but again, even on your public profile, you can decide how much about yourself you're going to share. In Google Plus, you have what's called communities. You access your communities in your main page, which is home page. You click on communities. And when you click on communities, there are a whole bunch of so think of communities as groups. They're usually closed off groups that you can join. So these are groups of people that have similar interests and they get together. Some of the communities are private. That means you have to request to join, and some of them are public. That means you just click on join and you're in, and that's it. What I like about communities is then I can share, because I'm part of a math community, I'm part of a modern learning community, and I'm part of a Google Apps for Education community, which is outside of my board, which is amazing because I'm learning really cool Google stuff from people around the world, not just teachers in my own school area. And this is how you access your Google Hangout as well. Okay. So Pages, I recently discovered Pages. I really like Pages because Pages allows you to create kind of like, think of it as your virtual website, which is it's always active. And what Pages allows you to do is this is the only portion of Google Plus that you can create you can have all of your messages automatically generate using Buffer or Hootsuite to go out into Pages. So it does work on Pages, but it won't work on your actual profile. So what I've done with my personal Gmail Google Plus account is I don't really push anything out on my profile. I push it out on Pages. So I created a different page that's going to allow me to automatically send out my messages and my resources. Any questions so far? Okay. So here are some examples of communities that I've joined. This is from my personal Gmail account. I really, really love this group. So this is Google educators in the province of Ontario that you can join, and you can search for them. When you log into your Google Plus account and you click on communities, there's a little icon. It's called create community or search for a community. So you can actually create your own, and I've done a lot for the teachers that I support. In the area that I support, I have a community built for them where we can share things with each other. And then you can search for a community. So let's say if you want to join a math community, I would just type in math, and then all the math related communities will come up. So this one I really recommend, the GEC Ontario group, and then there's a GEC Canada group. So I suggest joining both of them. They're very good. The other one I really like is the EdTech group, which is educational technology. I'm finding lately that there are a lot of vendors within this group. So I'm kind of just waiting to see if that changes, and if not, I'm not sure if I'm going to be part of this community any longer because I don't want things to be sold to me. I just want to use it for sharing and learning. There's a Google Slam group. Google Slam, it's, you find a cool tool, in a couple of seconds you share it with other people. You can create a video or however which way that you want to, and you share it with other people. I like it because it's quick and fast and gives me the information that I need. And then there's also, sorry, this one got cut off. This is the Google Apps for Education community, which is a global community that has over 10,000 educators, which is amazing. And then once you start joining community, Google Plus kind of picks up on your habit, and then it starts recommending other communities to you. Let me know if you have any questions by putting your hand up. Okay. Okay, so someone just mentioned how all of this does take a lot. Oh, did someone put their hand up? Yes, please. Krista, go ahead. We can't hear you.
If you want to activate your microphone, you can just press the talk button, or I see that you have your question in the chat.
Krista, do you want me to read out your question? Or, oh, okay, yes. So I'm going to read out Krista's message because she doesn't have a microphone. So Krista says, I'm only on Facebook for social media. I am not on Instagram, Twitter, etc. Quite frankly, I spend too much time on Facebook as it is, so I'm hesitant to join another social media site. However, I'm thinking of Twitter. In your opinion, which social media site would you join if you were to only join one? I absolutely agree with you, Krista. This is one of the reasons why there are certain ones I use on a regular basis, and there are ones, and then there are those that I don't use. If I had to just choose one, I would have to choose Twitter, because for me, it has been the most powerful tool, and I like the fact that I can send my tweets, like that I can auto-tweet most of my messages. And then what I actually have started doing are followers that I know tend to tweet really good materials. I click on a little star that appears beside their name. So every time they tweet something, a message is sent to me. So I get a little Twitter icon on my phone, and I click on it, and I only see those messages. But the only problem with that is that you miss all the other messages. So what I suggest, start with Twitter. Don't worry about tweeting anything out. Sign up, and then for the first month, just do some creeping on other people, see what they're tweeting, and just go through your tweets once in a while whenever you have time, and that's it. But don't feel like you have to give up your whole time and life just to be on some of these social media tools, because they do become quite addictive after a while. So that's just my suggestion. Amanda, do you want to articulate your message, or do you want me to read it out?
Yeah, I've been using Twitter for maybe the past 3 or 4 years, I think, and that to me has been the most effective and the one that I kind of stick with most, because I'm on a lot of different social media platforms and I'm trying to connect in a lot of different ways. But I think in terms of the people that I've been connecting with, that Twitter seems to be the standard.
Thank you, Amanda, and I agree. But then again, at the end of the day, it is a personal choice of what you feel most comfortable with. Okay, so we're going to talk about Pinterest. Really good question. Krista asks, I didn't realize Pinterest was social media. I'm addicted to that too. I would like to keep Twitter strictly professional. Yes, I agree. I don't do a lot of personal stuff on Twitter. Once in a while, because you want people to really see you as a whole person, not just as someone who eats and breathes work. So once in a while, I will tweet something personal. If I'm walking in the city, I take a picture. I have my Instagram linked to Twitter, so sometimes my pictures will go on to Twitter as well. My Instagram is open, but I really use my Instagram my hobby. I really, really love photography. So I use Instagram to take pictures of my surroundings. So there's no picture of me or anyone else, but I really just use it to practice taking pictures. And then I get comments from other people that tell me, well, next time try this filter, or try this, or do this. And I really love that. And that's the way that I use it. And sometimes people respond on Twitter as well to my Instagram picture. Pinterest is not as interactive as Twitter or Google Plus or Facebook. But what I really love about Pinterest and the way that you can use it to grow your personal learning network, it all depends on the boards that you follow. So there's one that, if you guys click on this link, later on, you don't have to do it right now, but this link, it actually takes you to this board, which is Build Your Personal Learning Network Connect. This is someone who went and found a whole bunch of different articles or anything to do about PLN, and then they put it on their board. So you could follow the board, and when you follow the board, you can actually send private messages to the person. So that's how you can connect with them. So sometimes on Pinterest, I see someone posting an art project or a lesson, and I love it and I want to know more. So I will send them a message and say, hey, can you tell me more about this? So that's a way to do it. But it is not as quick and as interactive as Twitter, Facebook, or Google+. But it's a great place to get ideas, and if you really want to connect to other people. I use it actually, one of my favorite ways of using Pinterest, not just to have a collection of art that I share with students, but also a place for me to keep collection of all the incredible recipes that I see on Pinterest. So I have like an appetizer, main course, and vegetarian, vegan, dessert boards, all different ones that I keep adding to. So whenever I'm having a craving, or if family is visiting and I want to show off my cooking skills, I'll go on Pinterest or YouTube and find a recipe, follow it, and make that particular meal. So that's how I really love using it. Those are just some suggestions. But I know that FDK teachers swear by Pinterest. Like, there's some of the stuff that you go into classrooms and you see FDK teachers do, they're incredible. And they always say, well, yeah, I got the idea off of Pinterest. So I really love it. Any questions, my friends? Okay. So now we're going to talk about blogs. So blogging, again, it really doesn't matter which platform you're using it. You really have to know what is your ultimate purpose. Are you the only one that's going to be blogging and you're just going to be sharing tips, resources? Are you going to, or are your students going to be blogging as well? If you want your students to blog, I always recommend to make them guest bloggers, unless you have parent permission. There are a number of blogs that you can use, blog platforms. There's Blogger by Google. There is WordPress, which is more professional looking. There's EduBlog. There's so many of them out there. It really makes no difference what you use. It just really, you have to think about how you want to use it. Okay, Amanda mentions Weebly. Yes, Weebly is a website. Weebly is not a blog, but you can use the Weebly website to do some blogging stuff as well. Yes, it has a blogging option. You're right. It's a really great place to reflect on practices. And again, like I mentioned, whenever you're looking for any educational resources, if you go onto the onto blog, an educator's blog, you can even Google it. Then you can find a particular one that you like. And what I tend to do are the ones that I really like, I add them to my favorite, and those are the ones that I keep going back to. Okay, and I've made some recommendations of the ones I really love. I know a lot of people give you a whole bunch of lists, and I got to tell you, there's only 2 blogs that I follow religiously. And with my busy schedule, I really don't have the time to keep up with every other blog that is available. I have a link here for you guys in the slide, and it's how to use your blog as a personal learning network that you can access as well on your own time. And it's in the slides that I shared with you. Okay. One thing that I remember when I started to really get into the whole social media and online world, one thing that was recommended to me, someone suggested, and it's the best decision I ever made, was to buy your own domain. So I've actually bought shadiyazdan.com. No one in the world can use this domain. It belongs to me. And I highly suggest that, because your name is your brand, and you don't want other people to use your name for things that don't really associate with you. So the way I use my blogger is I use my blog to provide resources and information for people. And it's not just teachers. I'm actually starting to grow my blog to be something that anybody can use. So what I do is, so this is a screenshot of the first page of my blog, and I'm still working on, and I try to keep it simple. One suggestion I have is with blogging, I had a social media expert tell me this, is that you want to stay away from very bright, crazy colors and busy backgrounds. So I actually keep mine white. It's very simple layout, nothing complicated, and I keep it just plain. So what I do on my blog is, so the first page of my blog, I have a few of my favorite apps. Again, they're not even educational related. They're just the ones that I use every day, because I want my brand to be beyond education. I want to be someone that's recognized as, you know, someone online who is very social media savvy. Some of the books that I read, I always post them, and some of the toys that, because I'm huge when it comes to, I'm a huge fan of coding in the classroom. So there are a number of toys or gadgets that I find and I test out, and I write my own reviews about them. I know I need to post them online. I am really, really terrible at keeping my blog updated. I actually have notes, pages and pages of notes of all the things that I need to blog about and share. I just have to find the time, and there's never, as you know, there's never any time in the day. But that's really my my next step. So here's another part of my blog. Again, I don't know what happened to my screen. Oh, there it is. It just went for some odd reason. So here we have must-have Google apps. So I do a lot of, I make a lot of videos as well, and I post the videos within my blog. And I was able to add, this is a gadget where all of my tweets would also appear on my blog as well. So whenever I tweet something, it appears on my blog for people to follow. Any questions? I found that blogs take a longer time to allow you to connect with people than tools like Twitter, Google+, and Facebook. But I have made a lot of good connections just based on some of the comments that people post for me, and then I respond to them, and then we end up exchanging email. So that's one way I go about building my professional learning network. Any questions so far? So somebody asked me, is your blog the same as your domain address? Yes. So I'm not sure about WordPress. I can only speak of, or Weebly or any of those tools. I can only speak of the ones that I use, which is Blogger. And Blogger actually allows you to embed. So instead of the web address being blogpost.whatever, which is quite impersonal, I wanted something to be personal. I was able to replace that with shadiyazdan.com. So whenever you type shadiyazdan.com, it goes to the blog. It's a blogger site, but that's where it goes to. I know that with WordPress that there's you would have to pay for that service. So I'm not sure how much that cost or how you would go about doing it. Amanda, do you want to share your comment with the whole group, or do you want me to read it out?
Yeah, no, I was just going to add to what you were saying about the blogs. I totally agree that they're sometimes less interactive. It depends on your blog developer. Like some people are very good at responding and to what people put on their sites. But I do find that if you come across a blog that you really enjoy and you're really kind of jiving with the ideas presented within it, it's often a good springboard to find other blogs or other connections using different social media platforms.
Thank you, Amanda. I agree. Anyone else? Any experience with Blogger or any other blog platform? One thing that I've been able to do with Blogger that I know you can do with WordPress, and EduBlog allows you to do it too, but I'm not sure about the other platforms, is that I set my blog so that if anybody puts a comment, I have to approve that comment before it gets posted, and I get an email notification. The reason why it's important to do that is that sometimes you'll have like spammers or people that are trying to promote their own services posting on your blog, and you don't want that. And you want to be able to approve what comments go on your blog and what comments don't. So that's how I moderate it. But you get the email notification, and you just click on the link, and you go and you click on either you approve or you don't approve. That's what I like about it. Okay. So here are my favorite two. As I mentioned earlier, I only follow 2 blogs, and I follow them religiously, one more than the other. Free Tech for Teachers, I love this guy. He's actually won awards for his blog, and he's American, and he blogs, mostly it's Google stuff, but he also blogs about other tools as well. Really, really good blog to follow. My other favorite one, and I have to say, my God, I use this religiously, Edutopia is really, really good. And they have, and I've actually included some of their resources and some of the articles that I have you guys dig deeper into in terms of some suggestions and do and don'ts for Professional Learning Network are from this site. So they have lessons, they've got tips and tricks, they have suggestions. It's amazing. It truly is my favorite. If I had to only follow one out of these two, I would follow Edutopia, sorry. And then, but if you want just two to follow and you don't want to worry too much, you know, keeping up, then I would say to follow just these two. In addition, Edutopia allows you to sign up on their blog, so whenever they post something new, you'll get an email notification. And so does Free Tech for Teachers. I mean, we live in an era where you shouldn't have to go hunting for information. Information should come to you. And that's what I love about some of these blogs and the way that they're set up. And again, to me, design and the layout of the blog is very important. I can't process when there's way too much stuff on a page. Just like I can't process when there's too much stuff in a classroom, I try to do the same thing with blogs. Make sure it's very simple, crisp, clear, so that it doesn't overwhelm myself, because I find that I have really hard time to concentrate. So that's why I also like these blogs. Any questions? Do you guys have any suggestions? Are there any blogs that you follow religiously? Either put your hand up or post them in the chat.
Yeah, and if you can post them in the chat, then I'll be able to get the links and share them in the resources as well.
Sorry, say that again.
If people post their favorite blogs in the chat, then I'll be able to copy and paste them and put them in the resource section to share.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Okay, so we have a question. The question is it free to set up your personal domain? No, you have to pay for it. So when you actually have to, it is a paid service, but it's not expensive. So for example, I pay, I think it's like $20 for a year, but because of the fact that I've been with the same provider, this year they allowed me to have 2 years for the price of one. And the service that I use, I'm going to put in the chat, is GoDaddy. And you don't need to get a website with them because they try to sell you a whole bunch of other stuff. All you want is a domain. And when you're buying a domain, make sure you buy the .com and the .ca. And it's not going to be that much more extra. It's like $3 more to get both domains. And then there's a .org, .inc, and all that other stuff. You don't need it. You just need your .com or .ca. I highly suggest it. And you know what? I actually had my own domain before I even had a blog. I was told just buy it so that no one else can have access to that domain. And so I just purchased it. And the link is in the chat. Thank you for posting. Any questions? Yes, Melissa.
So when you were setting up these things, did you do this before you became a full-time teacher?
No, I actually did them when I was a full-time. Like, I've done it. When I started teaching, most of these tools were not even around. So I did them when I was a full-time teacher. They don't take a lot of, like, I didn't do everything all at once. It was very gradual, like one thing at a time. So maybe I did one in 1 year. Like, I started my Twitter back in like 2008. I think that's when I joined. But I really didn't tweet. Like, for 2-3 years, that account was just sitting there. No profile picture, nothing. I was an egg for like 2-3 years because I was like, I don't understand this whole Twitter thing. What's the fascination? And then as I saw more people tweeting, then I was like, oh, I want to try this too. I have things to share. Then I started sharing. Then I started getting more followers. And then you get excited because you have followers. And you're like, ooh, I'm someone special. People follow me. So then it just kind of started to grow. And then I've had my blog page. Like, I got my domain a couple of years ago, but then I didn't have a blog page at all. I just got the domain because I went to a session and someone said you should buy your own domain. And then I set my blog, like I think my blog's like 2 years old. And then that's when I did that. And Pinterest, I was teaching art for the first time, and I wanted to make it active. I wasn't sure what to do, and all the art books that I was reading, everybody was doing the same thing, and I wanted to do something different. Someone said, hey, you should go on Pinterest. So I went on Pinterest. So it all just came about a little bit at a time. So don't feel like you have to do it all. Just pick one thing, try it for a year. I always say do an action research. Do your own little mini action research for a year, and then weigh the pros and cons. Some of these tools you're going to try and you're going to be like, I really don't like this. And then you're going to just delete it and get rid of it or whatever. Don't ever just leave it lingering. Make sure that you delete it or deactivate it or whatever it is.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Does that answer your question, Melissa? No
yeah,
problem.
because I'm starting to use Twitter now, and there's so much information online, and I don't know where to begin. Like, I'm following a lot right now.
So just
I'm
go
just
through,
trying to tone
and my
in.
suggestion is go through your follower list and see who is constantly providing you with valuable stuff, and maintain following those people. Choose 1 or 2 people from that list and add them to your favorites so that you get only their stuff on regular basis. Try that for a month, and then unfollow, like not unfollow, remove them from your favorite, add 2 other people, and then see what they share. And always just do a quick little skim and scan, whenever you find the time. But don't feel like you have to be on it all the time. It's just not humanly possible.
Perfect. Thank you.
No problem.
And Karen has a question as well.
Yeah. Karen, do you want to do you want to talk about your question, or do you want me to read it out? Okay, so, Karen's on an iPad. So Karen asks, what do you do if you have a very common name? That is a good question. Or if someone has already purchased your domain name? That is a very tough one. I've never had a common name. But I would presume that if you have a middle name, maybe use your middle name initial. If you don't have that, then I would try to, if you have a nickname associated with your name, choose that. And I know it could be frustrating because there may be someone with the exact same name as you, and they're posting things that really have nothing to do with what you're doing. So it's all about your digital footprint. The way I see it is the more you post, the more your stuff is going to show above that person, and that's how you build your digital portfolio, digital footprint. Your posts will hit at the top rating of Google. That's how Google's search engine optimization actually works. The more you post, especially on Google Plus or on other Google areas, the more your ranking is going to be higher on Google search. So then whatever you post is going to go beyond whatever the other person with the same name as you is posting. But I know it's challenging, Karen. Growing up, I used to despise my name and beg my parents to change it. And every day now, I thank them for not allowing me to change my name. Any other questions?
So, Shadi, I'm just looking at the time, and we still have about a half an hour left. So is there something that you want to use the application sharing for to go back and maybe share one of your Pinterest boards, got your professional learning network Pinterest boards, or a page on your blog, so that people can kind of get an example of what you're talking about?
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I will do that. And I would just click on that icon with the world map on it, right? The web tour? Is that the one I would be clicking?
Sharing, you're going to go, it's the two, it looks like a Venn diagram, so click on that and it will say share my screen. So maybe if people who are watching, if you can put in the chat, because Shadi won't be able to see it, but I will, if there's something specifically that she spoke about that you'd like to see her demonstrate.
Okay. but I'll just take you guys to the tour and show you. So any additional resources or things that you may need, I've actually posted them here. So more about your personal learning network, you can find it in the following link. Some of these are the article from the blog that I follow that I was mentioning. And then how do you get a personal learning network? Like how do you even get started beyond what we discussed? So this may be a little bit basic for you guys as we've been through most of the information, but again, this is a really great place for you to get started. Okay, so I am going to share my screen, Google Chrome, share. Okay, so can you guys see my screen? Yes? Oops.
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, so I'm going to go to Twitter first because I want to show you guys what the tweets are coming through right now. So here is my Twitter account, and if I go click on my name, you can see these are all the tweets that have been going out since we started. So if I go to the bottom of it, so here's like the first tweet that went out at 7:30. And then every message, so every 5 minutes, there's been a new tweet. So this was like 38 minutes ago. This was 32 minutes ago. So it's all going, all these messages are going. And I use the hashtags so that if anyone is following, let's say just PLN, so if I click on the PLN, Personal Learning Network, what you see is you see anything that has to do with, so I usually collect the first one. When you click on it, it's only the top tweets or retweets. And what I do is I click on live, which is everything that anyone's posting, and then you can see everything that anyone is posting about PLN. Okay, that's good. And sometimes the hashtags, some people associate it with something else. It's quite interesting just to see what they're associating. So I have 2 notifications, and I click on them, and I see, so I got 3 more followers, and then I have someone that retweeted a past tweet that I had, like about a math thing that I posted. And this was at a math conference that I went to. I'll show you guys the picture. And I took the picture with my phone, and then I tweeted, and I just tweeted, do you know the answer? And then anyone that's following math or the LCEDU hashtag, which was the conference that I went to, can actually see all these tweets. Okay, so then I go into home. So this, I really love this part of Twitter, just this page, because it gives you a lot of data analysis. You'll know which of your tweets, like when is your most popular time of tweeting. Well, because I'm working with you guys this evening, of course this time when the tweets started to go out this is a time when I had the most impressions. That means most people were looking at my tweets. And these are the times that was kind of like, you could call them my quiet time. And if you look at them, you'll see why they're quiet, because it's quite like 12 a.m. to 2 a.m. There were only 42 impressions. Well, yeah, because North America, most people are sleeping at that time. And that's really what I love about, Twitter. Recently, I learned about this other tool, and I'll take you guys to it. And I just included it I included the link in my Twitter profile, because you can, if you have you can put your website address there if you want to. But what I like about it, Rebel Mouse, what it does is it takes all of my tweets from Twitter and the ones that I put on Google Plus and my Instagram and puts them all into one place. So if anybody just wants to see what I tweeted about, or what I Instagrammed or Google Plus, then they can go through and they can see everything that I have done. So it's just all of my stuff. So this was from my Instagram account. Okay, So again, you can just go through and you can see everything that was tweeted, and any responses any way that I responded to other people or they responded to me. That's a really great way of generating all of your content and everything that you're doing and putting it in one place. Sometimes I actually go to this place because I knew I tweeted about a resource and I forgot where it is, so then I will go here and I'm able to find it. Unfortunately, it doesn't let you tag things, but it's okay. And then other people can, if they don't want to, they don't have a Twitter account or they don't have time to go on Twitter, they can actually follow by putting in their email address here, and every time I tweet or I use Instagram or Google+, then they'll get a notification. So it's like an alert for them, oh, Shadi posted something, and they can go in and see what I posted. So I just discovered this not so long ago, but I really love it. And I don't have to do anything. It just sits there, does its own thing, generates all my stuff. I barely ever even look at it. Like, this is probably like the first time, maybe the second time since I set it up. And you can choose how you want to design and how you want things to be displayed. And I kind of like the little mosaic icons, okay? So these are all the tweets that are going out tonight. Oh, you wanted me to take you to Google+? Okay, so let me take you guys to my Google+. And this is my York Region Google+. So again, my main page of Google+ looks like this. And then there's all these suggestion people that I should follow based on who they're following, okay? And then, so this is everything that everybody I follow has posted. So all of them are here, okay? However, if I click on Home, I can go and click on Communities, and then you can see all the communities that I'm part of. So some of these are the communities you moderate. So I am the moderator on these communities. These are the ones that I created. And then these are the communities that I've joined. And I'm telling you, I cannot keep up with these. I barely check them. This is why I'm not a huge fan of this environment. I know I need to develop a growth mindset and give it some time and really dig deep, but I haven't been able to do so as of yet. Oh, this is the community I was mentioning, Google Apps in Education. Wow, it's 120,000 members now. These are all educators that are using Google. Amazing. So it's pretty cool. So this is actually a high school teacher. Unfortunately, I won't be able to go into it and show you guys just because of privacy issues. But this is a high school teacher that shared her classroom's Google+ community with me. She teaches social justice and equity course, and she created a Google+ community for that course. I don't think the community is active because there's only 3 members, but. And then these are the suggestions that Google+ thought I should join. But really, I cannot join any more communities. And then you keep getting, when you join a community, so if I go into one, so I'll go into this one. When you join a community, you have the option of, if you click on notification on, you are going to get an email every time someone posts something. You'll notice that I turned it off because I was getting so many messages, like look how many discussions and things are posted in this community. I was getting so much that I'm like, I cannot be getting emails every 5 minutes. So I just got rid of it. I turned it off. And you'll know you have a post when you see it, when you see a little number icon on your little bell. That's your notification. But you can see it's such a rich community. Like all of these people are talking about add-ons that you can add and you know, how to use Google Forms for learning routines. I mean, I know most of them are American, but again, how great is it to learn from people all over the world? Like, I love it. It's such a great way of learning. And they have webinars. They have Google Hangout sessions that they do on a regular basis that you can just join. So, like, this one is a reading log template that a teacher created. And people just share. This is what I love about this online environment. Everybody just gives everything away, and they just share all the time. I love that whole, you know, I give you something, you give me something, we're all here to help each other, because at the end of the day, we're in the business of, you know, helping children and making sure that they're successful and happy and getting the most out of their education. But I mean, I can keep going and going and going. This thing is not going to end. But really, really powerful. Okay. And then I have not created pages here, but you could. So pages is really, it's simple. You click on it, you follow the steps. Your profile, you can change it as you wish. So my profile really is not that detailed. All I did is I did a quick little who I am. So my little tagline, my introduction, which I linked to my blog, and then bragging rights. So, and really just what's your occupation, what are your skills, where do you work? That's it. And where you went to school, the countries you visited. You could only put as much or as little as you want. And that's all you have to do. And I put my YouTube channel there as well, and my, like as I mentioned, my blog and my Twitter. I linked it in my Google Plus as well, because I want them all to talk to each other, because it makes sharing that much easier. I know someone was asking about, well, how do you keep up with everything? Well, when they're all joined together and they all talk to each other, when I post in one area, it goes on to all the other areas. So that's what I really love about it. Where else did you guys want me to take you? To Pinterest? I haven't used Pinterest in a while, but I can show you my cooking boards, which I'm quite proud of. I think I'm going to have to log in. Ooh, I don't know my password, I think. Oh, okay, cool. So, where are my boards? Never. So I've got 9 messages. So see, like as I clicked on it, these are like the 9 messages that I had. So either somebody saved my pin, or somebody, sometimes people message you, but not often. I've hardly ever had anybody message me. But these are just some of the people that have saved the pins that I have posted. Okay, so if I click on my name, it takes me, so I have 13 boards. So I've got my inspiration ones, my decoration ideas, my workouts that I never look at, and then my food. So I've got my soup, and then my cooking as well. So, I mean, that's just how I'm using it. I don't have any of the art stuff anymore because I'm not teaching art. So I removed that, and I just added some of the stuff, the personal stuff that I wanted. So that's for Pinterest. Yes, question.
Okay, so I've noticed that you put together your like personal stuff and your teaching stuff, but I've been advised as a teacher candidate kind of to have it separately. Is that bad or is that good? Like to have it?
Again, it's a personal thing. It's a personal thing. So again, it depends. But you notice on my Pinterest, I've removed all my teaching stuff. I do believe to keep a separate account. So, and that's my personal thing. So if I go back into my Google environment, if I go into my Google Plus community, I have colleagues that use personal Google stuff and school Google stuff. They're all one. Mine isn't. This is my work Google account. So all of my stuff, so this is my, in York Region, we call it our GAPS account. So this is all my York Region stuff. So all my community, I don't have anything personal here. There's nothing personal here. These are all school, like work-related stuff. But the YouTube channels and things like that, the thing is, I did not want to upload my YouTube channels on my Google, on my school Google account, because then it becomes a property of the board, right? I wanted to do it, sorry, not school, but the board. I don't want it to become I want it to be, because those are my videos and I want them to sit on my own personal YouTube account, because that's my property. Because once you share it, once you post it onto your board's account, then it's not yours anymore. It belongs to the board. So that's how I kept them separate. My Twitter, I use it mostly for professional. Sometimes I do personal stuff, but nowhere on my Twitter, if I go back to my Twitter account, nowhere does it say where I work and that I am working on behalf of nothing. I'll show you my profile. And I did that on purpose, actually. And I don't, like, that's it. It doesn't even say that I'm a York Region teacher. Nowhere does it say that. Again, I want to build my brand beyond the teaching profession, so I kept it very basic. And I don't want, and here it says when I joined. So I actually joined October 2008. But like I said, for the first couple of years, I did not use it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, because like I'm trying to learn now how to use both Twitter and for professional and for like school related, because at York University, I don't know if you remember this, we had to take courses that we had to use Twitter and keep up to date with it during that. So now I'm trying to go back to showing it as professional rather than personal.
Yes, but you know what you can do, like if you look at my tweets, you can do both. But you kind of keep the personal on a bit of a down low and don't share a lot of the personal stuff. But I mean, you want to show people, I think you have to show somewhat of a personal aspect of who you are, especially on Twitter, just because you want people to know that you are a person, that you do have a life beyond just teaching, right? I mean, I think that's important, and it develops, like I said, that's what develops your personal brand.
Perfect, thank you.
No problem. Any other questions? Is there anywhere else you guys want me to take you? So Pinterest, Twitter, what was the other one that I mentioned? Let me see. Pinterest, Twitter. I don't know which other ones I mentioned. Pinterest, Twitter.
Yeah, you showed your blog.
Oh, my blog, that's it. I gotta show my blog. Thank you. So my blog is shadiyazdon.com. So here's my blog. Again, very, very simple. So this is my blog, and when you scroll through my blog, again, it's not just educational stuff. You can keep it only education. You decide how you want to do it. And then my tweets are coming here. These are the must-have tools that I think everybody should own because they're the coolest, and you can program them. Some of the books that I really love. So if you go through again, you can see I did this whole thing about, why are we using Microsoft Word anymore? All my videos, the videos that I create, again, I post them on my Twitter account as well. Anything that I think people would find useful. And then you go into my resource page, and then I have any resources that are, again, something that anybody can use. If you're in love with learning and you want to learn something, then these are some of the places to go. If you guys are a Google Apps for Education board, Google Guru is my favorite place, favorite site, favorite website that you can go to and find lots and lots of valuable information. And they do, whenever Google updates itself and does something really neat, they always post about it, create videos or anything else. I don't know how many of you have heard of Google A Day. I really love this. It's a really neat program where they ask you a question. So you just click on Start Playing. They ask you a question, and then you go through, try to answer these questions. And they're all very, it's a really cool game to even do with the kids in the classroom as well, because it's a game where they're learning something as well. Yeah, so that's it. I know it needs to be updated. It's not as much, and that's something that I know I need to work on. But again, you just have to find the time, and I find it really hard to keep up with this. One of my colleagues mentioned that with Blogger, you can download the app, so I can do my blogs on my phone, but I just feel like it's not, like I can't use any of the pictures as well. They kind of don't line up really well. If I were to just type something really quickly, maybe a paragraph, and I want to blog it, then I can. But then I think to myself, why can't I just tweet that out instead of putting it in a blog? So again, I haven't found a reason to make that work.
And Shadi, just one last question before we wrap up. Someone asked a question about creating a professional portfolio digitally.
Yes. Yes. So creating a digital portfolio, honest blog, I think, is a great place to do that. So creating a blog, again, just like I have, use any blog platform that you like, and each of these tabs could be based on an area that you have, maybe a lesson that you taught or something that you've created, and you can do that with it. The reason why I suggest blog and not a website is that I oftentimes find the website, it's too complicated and there's too many. I know there are templates that you can take and it's just a matter of drag and drop, but I like it to be interactive. I want other people to comment. I want other people to give me feedback based on what I've posted. So I find that the blogger environment is easier because you can actually make a blog look like a website. I think you can make a website look like a blog too, but I don't know how user-friendly that is. I've always, again, it's a personal preference, I've just always preferred blog as opposed to a website. But it's a great place to build your portfolio. And even kids, I know our high school kids use Google Sites to build up their digital portfolio, which they share with universities and colleges. Any other questions?
Okay, maybe we'll go back to the whiteboard and just wrap up a little bit. So thanks, Shadi, for a wealth of information on building your PLN and different ways to do it. Some good discussions happened, and I think lots of things to think about. Just to wrap up, before we go, there's a couple of things. I'm actually going to go ahead a little bit. OTS today just released their Summer Institute. So for those of you who are looking beyond May and June and would like to register for some Summer Institutes, they're 3-day workshops in different locations around Ontario. And for those of you who are in the northwest of Ontario, there are some 3-day workshops in Thunder Bay. They've put some in your area. There are workshops in Toronto, London, Thunder Bay, Niagara Falls, and Thunder Bay. So you could check out this website. I'll just put it in the chat box. Syria just asked me to mention that. And there is also a technology conference coming at the end of August. So let me just go back to this slide. So I'm just going to stop recording.